So now I'm broadcasting. Good morning, good day, good evening, everyone, wherever you are. Happy you're all joining us today for our webinar, Last Mile Distribution Business Models for Solar Lighting, Lessons Learned on Building Agent Networks, Marketing and Product Baskets. Before we start, a few technical announcements. If you should have any technical questions during the webinar, please use the chat to send your question to Googler. My colleague Michael will be there to answer any questions you may have. The webinar will be recorded and it will be made available after today on the Googler website. Should you have any questions for the speakers, please use the question pane on your software. We will collect the questions and then pass them on to the speakers once all presentations are done. So we've got a really nice agenda today for our webinar. We've got Emil Schmitz from the BOP Innovation Center to talk about business models in general. Gaurav Mehta is joining us from Dharma Life to speak about their models and how they build retail and dealer networks. And Neha Misra from Solar Sisters is talking about how they're training and retaining their agents. And afterwards, we will have a lot of time to discuss and ask some questions to the presenters to make sure that we have a good knowledge exchange here. Before we get started, however, I would quickly like to introduce and present the organizers. Should you not be familiar with Googler yet, we are an industry association, and we work with members, 70 members from all over the world. Our objective is to help industry to scale quickly and sustainably. Obviously, last mile distribution is really, really essential in this regard, so we are very happy to do this webinar today. And we are also very happy to present it in cooperation with the BOP Innovation Center and Frontier Innovations. And both the BOP and Frontier will have an opportunity to present themselves further down the line in this webinar. So I will not talk too much about these organizations right now, but instead I'd like to get the webinar started and invite Emil from the BOP Innovation Center to get going with his presentation.
Yes, thank you very much, Johanna, for introducing me. Welcome, everyone. My name is Emil Schmitz. I work with the BOP Innovation Center. We're based in the Netherlands, and I'm very pleased that we have such a great turnout for this webinar, and happy to be part of pretty esteemed speakers also from Dharma Life, Frontier Markets, and Solar Sisters. So very keen to be part of this today. And I'm very happy to share some of the insights that we as BOP Innovation Center got over the past years through research, but also through a lot of information of distribution and route to market models in BOP markets. Just a few short things about the BOP Innovation Center. So our mission is to build inclusive market propositions in low-income markets. And we co-build mostly with businesses, so we team up both with multinationals, but also with a lot of local SMEs that need support in developing inclusive market propositions. And we have, like I said, we're headquartered in the Netherlands, but we have a lot of local presence in many of these what we call BOP markets, low-income markets. Right-hand side of the slide, we have a focus in 3 areas: food, nutrition, water, sanitation, and renewable energy. And we focus specifically on 2 teams. One is marketing and distribution, hence our contribution today. And the second one is inclusive innovation. So we have a great proposition, but you're looking on how to market or distribute it. we're happy to support, but we're also happy to support businesses that are looking to innovate for these low-income markets and see how to develop those propositions in the most optimal way. So let's move to why we're all together here, and I think that's one of the biggest headaches of many businesses that want to serve low-income markets, which is distribution or the route to market. And at Bob Inc, we've analyzed hundreds of cases of businesses operating in BOP markets, but we're also implementing several route-to-market models in various businesses. At this moment, I think we work with approximately 25 large or smaller businesses in various countries, and so we're happy to share some of that today. I think before we move into these three overall strategies for route-to-market that we like to distinguish, I think it's good to realize, and many of you might know already, that the dynamics in these markets are quite different from retail or route-to-market in Western markets. So you still see that informal retail is huge in many of these markets. We do see an increasing share of modern trade, mostly supermarkets, but still informal takes up a large chunk. And of course, this has several implications. So you see that wholesalers in those markets that supply those informal trade are very powerful, and often they don't really care that much about brands or your products or your messages. They're mostly interested in proper margins or cash flow. And you see then on the other hand, the small retailers, kiosks, have very little bargaining power, so they have very little to say, they have little access to work, those important dynamics to consider. And lastly, we see also an increasing number of businesses trying to reach consumers directly because of this dynamic that I just explained. So, and I think technology and e-commerce and initiatives like Jumia in Africa or many other e-commerce initiatives are making that increasingly possible. Taking those dynamics into account, we identify overall three key strategies for your route to market. The first one is to really piggyback on existing channels and infrastructures. So really working what's out there, the kiosk outlets or other networks. And that can be an interesting route to market. It's a quicker one, which is easier to scale, but it has quite some disadvantages as well. You see an image here of a Unilever Perfect Store. I think Unilever is a nice example that leverages also these kind of networks increasingly and connects directly also with the kiosks to make them more successful, improve their, move them from a trading stall to a real dignified shop, and of course also promoting their specific brands. Another nice example is Happy-No in the Philippines, that is really leveraging all kinds of mom and pop shops, connecting them through a similar brand and offering all kinds of services. So piggybacking on existing channels. Moving to the second strategy, that's about hybrid partnerships. That really means that businesses are teaming up with other organizations that already have a solid access to groups of consumers or have a certain reputation. We work a lot in the field of nutrition, so you see companies like DSM, but also local companies. We work with Guts Agro, for example, in Ethiopia. They sell to NGOs. They sell to World Food Program. You see, for example, in Kenya, cookstove companies selling to large cooperatives of tea farmers. So these are interesting route to markets. They create more of a bulk sale deal, but there's a big possible disadvantage there on the sustainability. What will happen if some of these partners will get less funding, or are these markets really sustainable? So we see an increasing number of those businesses also looking into other opportunities to make it more sustainable. And then the third one, the third route to market strategy are the micro franchise models. So working with micro entrepreneurs. We often see that many companies think this is sort of a silver bullet to reach the BOP. Personally, I'm very cautious already about that because many know the great examples of Famil growing to 30,000 agents in West Africa, Shakti in India growing to 70,000 agents. But we should not forget that it took them years, sometimes even decades, to build that presence, and it's still not an easy market. So there are a lot of difficulties in really scaling those models, and as Bob Inc., we're currently implementing and scaling 4 of them in 4 different countries with different dynamics. So there are a lot of challenges there, and I think we surely will hear more also from Soda Sisters and Dharma Life about their experiences. So overall, these are the 3 strategies that we would like to distinguish. And again, we see many businesses not just opting for one, but you often see that they take a multi-channel approach. So not putting all eggs in one basket, but seeing if they can combine things smartly. And I think that's a good thing. There are 2 big trade-offs. There are many factors that can determine what strategy is best suited for your specific product. We'd like to give out 2 trade-offs that we see. The first one is investment versus control. If you look at piggybacking on existing channels, like I said, going through existing wholesalers and kiosks, it will most likely give you quite low control, so the bottom left, but it's also lower investment. On the other hand, if you go for a micro-franchise or micro-entrepreneur model, it will take a lot of investment, but your control will be way higher. So you can really have higher control on how your brand is perceived, how your brand is positioned, the messages that are being spread. So that's a very big trade-off between the 2. Hybrid partnerships is something depends very much on the type of partner you engage with. One key lesson that we found out is that you have to be realistic about the transaction costs as well that are involved in partnerships. Sometimes it really looks great on paper, but to really get partners aligned and to get to reach those objectives, sometimes a higher investment is needed than was foreseen. Then there's a second trade-off, which is speed versus competitiveness. So you see, again, on the bottom left, you see building on existing channels will give you lower competitiveness compared to other products. So often you don't really know where your product is positioned on the shelves of those kiosks. Your solar light or cook stove might be positioned somewhere in the back because it's not rotating fast, so it's very, very difficult to be competitive through those channels. On the other hand, it is a high-speed strategy. So if you can get access to those networks, it's easier to scale. Well, on the other hand, with micro-franchise, you see it gives you a lot more competitiveness out there in the market. You can build a stronger trust and loyalty relationship with consumers, but the downside is it's a lot lower speed. So moving to the next slide. So looking at all these models and talking to many of these entrepreneurs and businesses, we feel that one of the biggest questions out there in terms of distribution is how to facilitate a high-touch model with low cost. Just as an example, another nutritious food company we interacted with piloted both the first and the third model in Ghana, and they really monitored exactly the outputs. And they saw that the micro-franchise model really led to a longer sustained behavioral change and uptake of the product as opposed to the first model, but it took a lot more investment. It was not scalable by itself. While the existing channel was scalable, but it didn't lead to the correct behavioral change and the sustained uptake of the product. So that's a tension that many companies are struggling with, and we feel like that's the question that we really try to get answers to. Like, how can we facilitate that high-touch model, like a village-based entrepreneur or a micro-franchise model, but still combine it with a lower cost structure? We feel there are 2 ways to really look for answers for this. I think the first one is technology. There's so much happening now in the field of technology, mobile digital solutions, platforms like Movocado, platforms that Living Goods is using for their mobile phones, things that Grameen Foundation is piloting in many markets. I think that's a very important enabler for this high-touch, low-cost model. A second way to deal with this, in our opinion, is to collaborate more with other partners. We still see a lot of initiatives where companies go by themselves. I think they can set up a micro-franchise model all by themselves, selling 1 or 2 products. It's never possible to, in our opinion, to sustain that for a long time and to bear all those operational costs. So we feel teaming up is absolutely necessary to share those costs and see if you can reach those final last mile consumers at a viable cost. So that's about the three strategies and the big question that we often ask ourselves, and we're looking for answers for that. And then the second part here, I want to focus on three cross-cutting themes that resulted from also the conference of Gogla last year in Dubai. And we picked out three themes: training, incentivizing. The second one is about marketing, and the last one is about the product basket. And I want to share just a few of our insights and examples here. Going to training and incentivizing, absolutely crucial, especially on the micro-franchise model. And of course, in the markets that we operate, the availability of experienced and skilled candidates is a very limiting factor for these models. So you have to properly invest in training, and it will also help in realizing more social impact besides just selling high-impact products. So we distinguish it amongst four different types of trainings. First of all, of course, the product training is crucial, and we'd like to add to that product experience for the sales agents is crucial as well. We see in our model in Ethiopia that the ladies that consumed the product called Supermom that we co-developed, Fortified Porridge, and they were very enthusiastic about it. The kids loved it. They were much better ambassadors to sell the product to their consumer. We really focus the sales agents consume and experience the products and experience the benefits, because it will turn them into better ambassadors. Then you have the technical training, more on marketing, sometimes on behavioral change. Can be very status enhancing as well for sales ladies to get trained on that. Thirdly, we have business trainings, bookkeeping, these kind of things. When are you making a profit? Absolutely crucial. We see in many markets still this often becomes the most important one. People don't really know or get feedback on if they're doing well, or they don't realize. It's very difficult to move them upwards. And the last one is more on life training, so that can be anything around health-related or education-related trainings that can really boost their confidence and self-awareness. Overall, in training, we see it's absolutely needed, but again, it's a very high cost factor for many of these models. So we're also looking at other ways on how to do that, how to scale that using technologies. Can you use more distant mobile phone training? Can you use gamified training modules? Can you use animations, tailored animations, instead of flying or transporting sales agents to one location every few weeks or months, because that's a very high cost factor. Secondly, on incentives, we identify obviously crucial for sales agents to operate, put the right incentives in, and these are definitely not only monetary incentives. We see in the markets that these others, non-monetary status ranking or professional development incentives are often stronger incentives than just the monetary ones. Just to give some examples, we work with a LED light company in Vietnam, and they offered their sales agents a company golden ring if they performed really well, and that made a massive impact in the uptake of sales, much more than an increase in margin. We saw in Mozambique that a multinational is rewarding their distributors with discounts on fuel. Mozambique is a very stretched country, people have to drive a lot, so fuel was a very important incentive for them more than just money. So they tied fuel to a loyalty program and managed to increase productivity for the sales agents. So you have to be creative on these incentives and go beyond thinking just monetary. One other example that we liked is from Danone in Brazil, where they developed the Quiteiras model, which is a door-to-door female sales agent model as well. You have Quiteiras and you have Madrinhas, who are the regional managers that monitor the Quiteiras, and they introduced a tiered ranking system, enabling Quiteiras to move from bronze to silver to gold status, and each status has different rewards to it. So you can get a branded card if you go to silver. You can even become a Madrinhas if you move to gold. And that tiered ranking system had a very positive impact. When they introduced that approach, it led to a 42% increase in order size and a 33% improvement in the retention rate. And I know from my own experience that this retention rate is absolutely crucial to lower that dropout rate. So I think a nice example on how to work with incentives and keep more sales agents in your staff. Moving to the second team, it's marketing. Again, we see that marketing is absolutely crucial, regardless of the strategy you're opting for, but especially also with door-to-door agents. We have to help them also to create that demand. It depends on the product, but most of the times marketing is essential. And we like to distinguish on the various stages of BOP marketing. We developed this model called ATR to distinguish the different marketing stages when you want to market your product to the BOP. ATR is Portuguese for ignite or inspire. We work a lot in Mozambique, hence the Portuguese. And it stands for the different stages. So attention is really about drawing the attention with your audience, and you have to be creative in what kind of media you can use, because most of those communities are regular media is of course absent, so you have to be creative and looking for other ways like local radio, mobile, or other channels. Secondly, it's trust. In our experience, the single most important part when marketing to the BOP. You can draw a lot of the attention, but many people will not trust you from the start. The only way to build trust is really to work with people from those communities, keep coming back, not just go in and out like many have done probably before in those villages, and work with trusted organizations or trusted brands when you enter those communities. After that, we see experience is crucial. Especially if you have little income to spend, you're very risk averse, you the benefits before you will do any transactions. So you have to be creative in how to enable that experience by sampling or by low cost experiencing, but it's absolutely crucial. Moving to the next stage, many of the businesses we work with often obviously want to make a deal, so action is crucial. And this is also where you have to be creative. Can you make time-bound promotions? Can you work with coupons? Can you work with vouchers? Can you work with bulk sales to communities? You have to move them towards action after you ran through those first stages. And lastly, it's about retention and referral. So once you have realized the sale, that's a massive achievement, because we know that a large percentage of BOP consumers really make a purchasing decision based on what their neighbors and families recommend them to do. So you have to cherish those existing clients and see if you can turn them either into ambassadors or if you can create loyalty programs to keep engaged with them for a longer time. So on the right-hand side, you see some of the activities we've done in north of Bangladesh called cooking competitions, where we invited 10 women from each community, and they were selected by the community to participate in cooking competitions. And it was a massive event. People were very excited, and it led a lot to the increase in marketing on attention, trust, and experience. And it was followed up with sales ladies that we have operating in the north of Bangladesh, so they could follow up on the action and retention. Another example in Bangladesh is mobile movies, where we equip some of the sales agents with lightweight portable projectors, and they organize viewings in the communities using entertaining video around nutrition, but also using commercials for specific relevant high-impact products. And we measured the impact of these sales ladies compared to the baseline, and it led to a massive increase of sales. For example, on ORS and zinc tablets, we saw 260% more after some of these activities took place, and on sanitary napkins, we saw an increase of 300% in sales initially. It will decline after a while, but we do trust that it will sustain for a pretty high level. Then the last part is around the product basket, where especially on the micro franchise, it's important to make a decision on what products do you want to keep in your basket. And I think especially Dharma Life has a lot of good experience to share there as well, so looking forward to that. We distinguish amongst 3 types of products. The foot in the door, these are fast-moving products that sell easily and that people need regularly, be it biscuits, be it soap, be it bouillon cubes. Very important for the sales agents to knock the door on a regular basis. Secondly, we have the hard sales, which require a lot of educational awareness. Those can be nutritious products or some sanitary products. And thirdly, we distinguish the high margin products that those are more the durables like cook stoves and solar lights. And we see that often selling just 2 or 3 might be very challenging, but combining it with a portfolio of foot in the door products gives the sales agents a much stronger reason to visit consumers more often and to upsell and cross-sell as well. Given that distinction, we also feel it's very important to stay within your certain concept or brand that you defined. In the models that we operate in the 4 different countries, we define clearly what is the brand or the promise that the sales agents are giving, and are the products really contributing to that promise? I think that's an important question to ask yourself. One nice example, I think, from Living Goods is that they leveraged their strong trust now even for their own product. So they developed the Living Goods fortified porridge, and I think just that's a nice idea if you build a strong route to market channel, and you can even leverage that for products directly. So that's what I wanted to share on the 3 cross-cutting teams. There's a lot more to share. I only had 50 minutes. I don't know if I kept within that, probably not. But we're working with the MIT and the Practical Impact Alliance, which is a network of businesses and NGOs, on finalizing this document, best practices for BOP door-to-door distribution. We're also finalizing a decision-making tool on distribution strategies. So there's a lot more to share soon, so stay tuned, and we'll share all of that probably over the next few weeks. And if you want to learn more about the Innovation Center, you're more than welcome to register yourself on the Inclusive Business Accelerator platform, where we have more than 200 inclusive business ventures registered now, and you can participate in all types of online boot camps. You can connect to investors or connect to other businesses. So more than welcome to join, and if you want to drop me a message or ask a question, my email is there to the right. Happy to help you out. Thank you.
Thanks, Emil. I would now like to invite Neha from Solar Sister to get her slides up. While she's doing so, my apologies for technical problems. It seems we have reached the maximum number of attendees for this webinar, and there's a huge interest in this webinar, so we are very happy that many of you participated and would like to invite any colleagues of you who do not have the chance to be with us right now because of these limitations to just check out the recording once we have uploaded it. Okay, Neha, the floor is yours.
Right, great. Thanks, Johanna. Let me just set this up. Okay, great. Hi, everyone. My name is Neha Misra. I am the co-founder and chief collaboration officer of Solar Sister. Thank you for having me here.
Yeah, it seems we can't hear you.
Okay, let's see. Can you hear me now?
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, great. So good morning from Washington, D.C., and good afternoon and good evening, wherever you might be listening in from. And thank you, Emil, for setting that stage. I think it's a perfect segue for me to start. So as some of you may know, Solar Sister is a woman-driven clean energy distribution business, our goal is twofold. One, increasing geographic access to clean energy solutions, and two, as a matter of business strategy, to very deliberately increase the cultural access for women in the clean energy sector by advancing women's leadership across the value chain. Since 2010, we have built a network of 2,200 solar sister entrepreneurs in Uganda, Tanzania, and Nigeria, where we are currently operating. There isn't a silver bullet, as I'm sure a lot of practitioners can vouch for, which is why I believe it is as much an art as the business of business itself. And I want to share in this short time that we have 4 key building blocks of what we have learned from our experience so far. The first building block for us really has been building a strong upstream supply chain. And in the off-grid solar market, which is where we really started from, this means having a very diversified product portfolio. We are a Lighting Global associate and work with a number of partners, including D-Light, Greenlight Planet, B-Box, Barefoot Power, Little Sun, and Waka Waka, to name a few. Our product portfolio itself ranges from small portable lights and mobile phone charging solutions to larger custom solutions for homes, businesses, health, and education opportunities. In 2013, largely driven by demand from our entrepreneurs and customers in the communities where we are working in 3 countries, we included clean cook stoves in our portfolio as well, and they dovetail and complement into our solar portfolio. And while cook stoves is a bit of a different ballgame, but there are many interesting intersections and channel lessons through our solar experience. We also partner with the Global Alliance for Clean Cook Stoves. For those of you who might be interested in learning more about the lessons from cook stoves experience, or to integrate cook stoves in your own distribution models, I would highly recommend looking at the Global Alliance website, which is a fantastic resource. So with the first building block, which is having the upstream supply chain in place and having trusted, reliable products on which we can honor the warranties and really have a strong local supply chain. Our second building block before we come to the agents is really building a gender inclusive workforce and a strong workforce. We have grown massively in these last 5 years from a very scrappy startup of 2 to we have a staff of close to 75 now working across 4 countries, and 85% of our staff is women, which is also a matter of deliberate business choice. And we find that investing in recruiting, training, and mentoring our team is absolutely critical to our sustainability and lasting impact. And I would also add that often, you know, when people say, is finance your #1 challenge? And I think finance is absolutely critical, but building that team which will really help take the model to scale is absolutely fundamental to growth. So we are spending a lot of time, energy, and resources on training this very distributed workforce on business leadership and technology aspects of our work, but also spending a lot of thought on how to really build and retain the culture that we have. You know, they say culture eats strategy for lunch, and we do not wish to be eaten for lunch. So, you know, and as you're a very small and young startup, we are very fired up, and I think both the challenge and the opportunity as you grow is how to pass the heart and brain of the organization to a growing workforce, which can also grow with the organization. then being a really rather small business with multi-country operation means that we also have to tap into wide-ranging tools for collaboration. So this means using private groups on Facebook and WhatsApp, internationally and domestically from our HQ to remote locations in the field. We are also using a mobile business toolkit that we have developed with TarotWorks, which is an offshoot of Grameen Foundation. And at managerial level, we are using this tool called 15Five, which I highly recommend to check out. It really takes 15 minutes, and managers can report to their supervisors on what is motivating them, what is challenging them, and we find these tools are really, really important in our operations and the very unique nature of our distribution line in the clean energy value chain. Then we started a partnership with the Global Alliance for Clean Cook Stoves this past year, which was to train our trainers with a pilot program in Uganda, not just on business and how to create gender-sensitive work plans, marketing strategies, financial planning, and customer care, but also on empowerment, how to create an empowered workforce, because our trainers, whom we call business development associates, who are based in the field full-time, really supporting our entrepreneurs, before they can help the entrepreneurs achieve their goals, they need to self-reflect, and this is also a bit of part of that culture building, that we are a social impact organization, so there's a constant balance of both the business side and the social mission that we are trying to achieve. And then with the business training, empowerment training, then the third leg is leadership training, to make sure that our trainers who represent us in the field, and through them then the entrepreneurs, they can really be equipped to educate the communities and inform the communities and really become the trusted face of Solar Sister. So with the second building block in place, which is really building our team, the third building block is then consistent and quality support to Solar Sister entrepreneurs. And I cannot emphasize it enough. I have it underlined here, but consistent and quality are the key words here. We have dedicated staff to recruit, train, and support Solar Sister entrepreneurs who are then going out in the communities and selling these wide-ranging solar and clean cooking products. And the training that we do in the first layer with our trainers on business leadership and agency-based empowerment is then translated through them to our entrepreneurs on an ongoing basis. And in addition to the business basics training, we have developed 3 key modules, which are Dreamweaver, which helps our entrepreneurs reflect on their personal goals and aspirations. I was in Uganda this November, and we have brought a group of about 12 of our entrepreneurs together, and we were asking them what part of training really, really resonated with them. And they shared about this Dreamweaver training that we do, and they mentioned that nobody had asked them before what their dream was. So just that act of articulating, and as we are building a very aspirational brand, our tagline is light, hope, and opportunity. So really helping our entrepreneurs connect with that and self-reflect, and through that Dreamweaver, they then go on to Pathfinder to then set a clear pathway to what it would take to achieve those dreams, and how Solar Sister can really then become a tool in achieving that dream. And once they have the strategy and their personal plan in place, then we also provide them additional training on solutions-driven sales techniques. So our distinctive goal is that our entrepreneurs are not hawkers, and we don't want them to act like hawkers. We do believe they are problem solvers, and we want them to approach the customers from from that perspective versus just trusting the products in their face. So that it takes a lot of deliberate and patient training, and it's an ongoing effort on the training front across the board in our operations. Then I also wanted to add that with the training itself in place, a key part of our model is using the power of word-of-mouth marketing, because our entrepreneurs are also using the products. They really become the most powerful marketing tool for us, because there are, as Emil touched upon a bit in his presentation also, trust is really, really important. And when people see the entrepreneurs who are nurses, they are teachers, they are farmers in the community, it really makes a big difference in their trust in the proposition, trust in Solar Sister as a brand, and then they in turn become champions to help us expand and introduce other customers and other entrepreneurs in the community as well. So I wanted to share these are interesting findings of a survey we did end of last year, where we interviewed 300 of our entrepreneurs through the mobile business toolkit that we have. And we really wanted to understand what are the benefits of being a Solar Sister entrepreneur as perceived by our entrepreneurs. And I wanted to highlight here that a key part of being a Solar Sister entrepreneur is that it is more than an agent. They are more than an agent, which is a bit of antithesis of the title of my presentation, but we are really building a sisterhood. We are building a community rooted in trust. So the way every interaction between us and the entrepreneur is more than just treating them as a mere sales agent. And it was very heartening to see the results of the survey, where income is definitely one of the it's the biggest part of why they choose to become Solar Sister entrepreneur, and personal development related to that. But also it's access to quality products and warranties that we offer and honor. And it is also networking and sisterhood that Solar Sister brings. It's the community they have now, because they're connecting and interacting with other Solar Sister entrepreneurs. It's also because they are champions in the community and they really want to help the community. They see firsthand what the benefits of clean energy access are. And then finally, skills development, this ongoing investment in their business growth, from micro entrepreneurs to small entrepreneurs to what we hope would become a large and larger cadre of medium and larger scale entrepreneurs also, as we create that growth curve. So we did this partnership with International Center for Research on Women last year. They have been our long-standing impact partner, and this was a particular research technique called photo voice, where we train the entrepreneurs on photography and gave them digital cameras so they can capture what they really feel is the benefit of being a Solar Sister in their communities. And the photographs, which we will collate and have an exhibition at some point, they really show what is in theory our effort and practically our effort, but it's really good to see from entrepreneurs' perspective. As you'll see in this photo, this is our entrepreneur Bastila from Tanzania, and she is the one who chose the title Solar Sister Grows Strong Woman in the Community, and she is a leader and bringing clean energy. In this photograph, you see our entrepreneur Hilaria from Tanzania as well, who is a basket weaver. She is a customer of Solar Sister, and also one of our top entrepreneurs in the country, applying the skills she's learning through us, both in the clean energy business, but her basket weaving business has substantially grown because of Solar Sister as well. Then finally, I wanted to share, with the ingredients of supply chain, team, and entrepreneurs in place. It's a bit of a circular process, and community relationship is really key. When we enter a community, community is our partner, community is also our champion, and community then also becomes our customer. And this also touches on multiple channels that Emil spoke about in his presentation. When we go into the community, we partner with grassroots organizations who have women's groups or self-organized self-help groups. Our goal is not to recreate women's groups or networks. Our goal is really to identify which are successful women's groups in the communities where we are working, and really plug into what is our very unique clean energy access driven business opportunity designed for women. So it helps our partners scale, it helps us scale, and ultimately it's a win-win strategy. So those are a few of the lessons I had. I'm happy to take more questions and see how we can learn from you, and hopefully partner with some of you as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Neha, for this excellent presentation. For all attendees, if you have questions for Neha, please submit them through the questions box, and we will be happy to collect all of them and pass them on later on to our speakers. Unfortunately, Gaurav from Damalife has some connection problems, but a colleague of his just very spontaneously agreed to do the presentation on his behalf. So I'd now like to invite Hari to share some insights from Dharma. Sorry, if you can share your screen.
Hi, good evening. This is Srihari on behalf of Gaurav, and I hope I'm audible.
Yes, you are. Thank you.
All right, cool. So first of all, thanks to Googla for arranging such a wonderful arena for all of us to discuss and deliberate. And thanks to Emil and Neha for those excellent presentations. So I'll just give you a brief overview of what Therma is doing, and then we'll move into more of the lessons that we've learned for in the solar lighting business as such. So Therma is a social enterprise that works on developmental challenges by promoting entrepreneurship in rural India. And right now, over time, we have established a network to over 4,000 entrepreneurs across 9 different territories. And we've been doubling year on year, and hopefully by 2020, we'd grow to a size of 100,000 entrepreneurs, out of which we stress around 50% would be women entrepreneurs. So the broad business model, if I just explain, as a comprehensive model in which Therma takes care of the rural sales and channels along with the complete end-to-end supply chain. We support this with detailed research, with strong entrepreneur training, and very comprehensive market activation and behavioral change campaigns, so that all 4 of them come together to activate sales and help the entrepreneur in attaining the income that will augment his main income. So it's a 4-step process in which first we partner with corporates and foundations and product manufacturers, and secondly we prospect, select, train, recruit, and give the entrepreneurs enough material and bandwidth so that they can go ahead and pitch the products. Then we do the market activation around the causes in which we are associated with, which hopefully will raise the awareness in communities and translate into sales from the customers, which will augment the entrepreneur's income. And throughout this process, we have the market research and insights team that is constantly working on understanding, supporting us in all sense of planning. So take care of the entire process end to end to make sure that there is no gap at any point of time. So this is where the entrepreneur model comes in. Now, along with that, we being a social change, and the higher ticket items, it's quite difficult to purchase without the any finance. So the institutions in which additional value is provided to the members. So it as part of a consumer loan that is provided by the microfinance institutions. We have seen that the partnership with the microfinance institutions and the various self-help groups in the area can be translated in both ways, in which we are right now moving to a hybrid model in which members of the MFI clients are then identified as entrepreneurs, and they are trained to support Dharma, and in such a sense that they can earn additional income from their sales. So it's because it's such a comprehensive model, it has an increased social impact in the areas where this is run, in which we do awareness campaigns and market research also. So it's a win-win situation for everybody, in which both entrepreneur financing and consumer financing is provided to create additional impact. So Dharma, unlike Solar or many other partners of Gogla, Dharma has a wide range of products in which access to energy is obviously the most important one and a significant portion of our revenue, but we are also associated with different causes such as indoor air pollution, nutrition, health and hygiene, livelihoods, lifestyle, and education. So our model is, in that sense, is a little more comprehensive, where obviously clean energy is strategically and in terms of revenue the most important. So what are the lessons that we've learned in terms of agent building? So right when we started off, we identified that the most important aspect of this is to ensure that the quality of the agent network is important. So we have an in-house comprehensive training program in which the prospection, selection and recruitment is taken care of end to end. The only challenge in such a case is because the cost of agent acquisition is quite high, and growing from our current numbers of 5,000 to the number of 1 lakh would probably be a little difficult, whereas more tweaks are required. And secondly, we have also seen that end-to-end engagement, constant engagement is necessary to sustain the network. So Dharma Life has made sure that it engages our agents through fortnightly meetings by the territory managers, and also we have an in-house call center which does periodic calling to ensure that the touch with the entrepreneurs is very much there right from the entire organization perspective. And another major thing which we have found out, and which Neha has highlighted quite significantly, is that access to finance is a major barrier. Because even though customer financing options are available, this lending is available to only 10%. In India, we also find that entrepreneur financing is a major problem, because financial institutions are trying to bridge this gap and enter this segment as a entity. And finally, the retailers are going to be quite key. We again go full-fledged into products, even though it is not there. All in all, the major are very well thought of.
Shihari, it seems we lost your audio connection and can't hear you right now. Maybe you can try to reconnect your audio. Okay, while we're trying to get Srihari back, let's try to take some of the questions that we got from our question pane. We got a couple of them for Neha. So Neha, we got a question asking about the margins that you get on the products that you are selling. And as a follow-up questions to that is, how do you finance all your activities, and what are the prospects of becoming profitable anytime soon?
Okay, sure. Johanna, should I go now? Did you want to take a few more questions?
If you can go now.
Sure, great. Well, I cannot share the margins themselves, but yes, we are a distribution business. So when we are buying from our upstream suppliers at negotiated wholesale prices, there is a distribution markup for us, and our entrepreneurs are investing in their inventory, and everything else is a value added, their business kit and training that we are providing, and they sell at we have a suggested markup on which they sell the products. But if you connect with me one-on-one, perhaps I can share a bit more on what exact numbers look like. And on financing side, so right now it's a mix of we have philanthropic support from grants and foundation and public sector partners, and we have earned revenue stream which has been substantially going up over the last few years. But I would say the market still needs investment in support, especially if the goal is to serve the last inch of the last mile. So I think there is room for developing and growing the business models themselves, and we sell all products at market price, so there is no kind of subsidy involved on the products, but we are investing a lot in bridging the skills gap in the sector at large and reaching some of the most remote communities, and that's where I think in the market development side the philanthropic and public sector support really kicks in. So, it's a mix right now, but I would say in next few years and in each of our country of operation, depending on market maturity, the status is different, but we are getting there slowly to flip that balance between philanthropic support and what we are getting from our revenues.
Great, thank you, Neha. While we still have problems to get Dharma back connected, we have a few more questions. A lot of questions coming in about the enabling environment that is needed in the country, and how you view tariff and VAT exemptions as enablers to promote the products to end users. And I'd also like to actually invite Emil to answer that question to see if he has any lessons on that from other sectors other than solar, to tell us about what can tariff and VAT have of an impact in terms of customer uptake. So Neha, maybe you want to go first and then Emil next.
Yeah, so we ran into an issue last year where in Tanzania the government was planning to increase taxation on solar products, and Tanzania has an active renewable energy agency with a wide membership, and I think with a lot of outreach and efforts of the practitioners, that was put on a pause, but it is definitely, I would say, certainty in the regulatory and tax environment is definitely needed, and that's something we are working to the extent that as a practitioner we can influence that, but again it varies. In Uganda we find it has been more conducive in the solar sector at least, and in cookstove sector again it's a different scenario. Some cases if you get the whole product, the VAT is more versus if you import parts, but it varies country to country. And as I understand, both the Alliance on Cook Stoves front and the practitioner network is involved in looking at some of those issues. Emil, you can add from your experience a bit more.
Yeah, thank you, Nia. Well, I think one of the things that we see, for example, in markets like nutrition or food is that the VAT and the tariffs do force a lot of companies to source as much as possible locally. So we work, for example, with the largest dairy player in Nigeria. Most of those dairy players used to import milk powder and then process that locally and sell it to the markets. But you see VATs and tariffs playing a more important role, forcing them to source milk locally, which I think overall is a good thing, but it's also, it can be quite challenging also for your business case to organize all of that. So I think we see in several countries that these kind of regulations force companies to look for other ways to source, and I think in the solar industry to assemble, possibly even produce locally. And I think overall, of course, that makes sense, but it doesn't make the business case easier for many of these companies. So that's my experience.
We are trying once more to get Shahari back and try if he can continue his presentation, hoping that the gods of technology are with us today. Let's see.
Yeah,
let me try again.
1 second. Yeah, sorry everybody, there's some last mile internet connectivity appears to be still a problem. So I'm just going to pick up from where I had left off. Hopefully this time I'll be able to complete. So I was just talking of the marketing, different marketing and channel activation that we, activities that we do. So since we only deal with high quality solar lighting products in partnership with IFC, so the lack of consumer awareness is a major problem because the availability of cheap alternatives has distorted market, and that's very important to engage in activities and increase awareness. So we do take periodic campaigns to promote the cause. So one of the easiest ways we have found to engage with the audience is through night activities and reading sessions. We also ensure that while all this happens, enough stock is left at various warehouse levels so that that is not a problem. And we had this very interesting campaign called Lighting Up Young Minds, which we had conducted on the International Literacy Day, in which we reached out to 17,000 children. So it is a very interesting campaign in which we created trees of light by using solar lights, and reading sessions were conducted under them so that children have a first-hand experience of how it is to have clean lighting in their homes. And digital libraries were also set up so that they could use the lights to read through a tablet. So it was done in collaboration with various agencies, and it was a huge success with more than 17,000 kids reached out. We have also collaborated with IFC as part of their Lighting in Asia Suryoday campaign, and we were execution partners, on-ground partners, in 2 different states and across 31 different territories. So that is also a huge boost for us. So we do undertake periodic campaigns that help us in channel activation. Now, one quick thing I forgot to mention last time was regarding the product basket selection. So Thermalife, being an associate of the IFC, we deal with only products that have passed the quality assurance test of IFC. So that probably limits the number of manufacturers that we associate with at any point of time, but it gives a huge leverage in terms of very clear selection. There is no default rates are far lesser, and it helps us in ensuring quality. Now we have, as I discussed, we have the agent network through which we sell the lanterns that have less than $10, cost less than $10. But also there the lanterns that have demand of that have mobile charging are obviously in huge demand. But larger systems upwards of which have multi-modes around upwards of $50 require financing options, and we have tie-ups with microfinance institutions to have that. But anytime we try to introduce any product into our basket, we have a dedicated research team, as I mentioned. So this conducts detailed studies to understand the demand, and based on only their input, decisions are taken regarding the selection and vendors and other stuff. So we are currently limited to only lanterns, but we are very seriously moving into the larger segment, including appliances, water pumps, and other durables associated with solar lanterns. So, and quickly trying to finish my presentation about the future plans. So we have already brought out 2 co-branded solar lights. So this is with detailed discussion with the manufacturers, and to understand, because we have a team on the ground and they're able to clearly communicate the product offering that will be selling the most. Secondly, again, we've seen that a trend of there's more demand for appliance than lighting and mobile charging. So home systems and appliance will be huge, and Therma will be engaging with manufacturers to grow it in this space. We are also launching our own version of the pay-as-you-go in association with one manufacturer. So that's going to be a major disruptor, and we hope that this will make major changing, and our retail network is absolutely tuned for such a segment, because payment collection and financing would be taken care of completely. And finally, we have a limitation that we have self-imposed, in the sense that we only have 30% of our network who are retailers, because we want to make sure that everybody in the village has an opportunity to become a change agent, and we don't have to. Cautiously, we have limited the number of retailers, but we do plan to engage them quite extensively. And finally, all the awareness campaigns that I discussed so far, we plan to gear towards first trials for first-time customers, and also trials to key opinion leaders. That'll be probably something that will give us huge traction. So I'm done. Sorry for thanks, Joanna.
Great, thank you so much. Going back to the question and answers, and I guess people have a lot of questions for the Dharma Life model as well. So if you have any questions, please just submit your question through the question pane, and we will collect them here and pass them on to the speakers. And we have had many questions coming in about the role of credit for agents, and as well as offering credit to end users. So we just heard that Dharma is looking into pay-as-you-go, which is a form of credit. Maybe you can expand a bit more on that, how you, which kind of credit lines you will have for the end users, and also how the agents are being involved there. Shari, the question would be for you. Okay, it seems we lost the audio connection again. Maybe Nia, do you want to jump in and take that question on?
Joanna, could you repeat that again, please?
So the question that we had coming in was, how do you give credit to agents, and what is the role of end user financing? Is there a big demand for that, and if so, how do you handle it?
Sure. I think we have had a good experience of both adventures and misadventures in financing. So when we started Solar Sister in Uganda, we had what is a micro consignment model. So we were working through trusted grassroots partners and introducing our business opportunity. But at that stage, our goal when we started was to really reduce the startup risk for the woman. So we were giving the inventory itself on a consignment. What we found was 2 precious lessons. One, although there were women who were tapping into the credit to take up the business opportunity, we found it's not a good idea to lead with credit, but that our entrepreneurs should have a stake in the business, even if we are approaching them through trusted networks, because otherwise there isn't just the motivation and buy-in, and the quality of entrepreneurs is not what we wanted. So over a period of time, we phased out micro-consignment totally, and when we launched in Tanzania, we started without any micro-consignment. So, and also we don't have deep pockets to really extend credit. So right now, the way it operates is we have a suggested inventory investment amount, which our country managers decide. So the entrepreneurs, they organize that startup capital, and everything else that is our value added around branding and training and marketing. So we are not directly giving credit. We are piloting a small program for some of our superstar entrepreneurs who have already demonstrated their commitment to Solar Sister and their results. So that's currently in testing phase. And again, end user financing, we have some partnerships with MFIs and self-help groups where we are testing out some models, but we are not, we don't have an active and very mature end user financing program. We have looked at and we are very keenly observing the pay-as-you-go market, but in our universe, where we are working in very distributed, ever more distributed settings and with multiple products, and starting from smaller, really like micro, nano products. I think the question we are asking is, at what point does the benefit outweigh the cost for us at this stage of our growth? So we are not directly offering it, but we are looking at it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just to complement that, this is Emil again from Bob Inc. I can definitely endorse some of the experiences that Nera shared on giving out on consignment. We see that as well in some of our models, where sometimes, because we work in fast-moving consumer goods a lot, we can afford, or at least the businesses we work with sometimes can afford some giving out some products on consignment, but we're very cautious on doing that because we really want to create the right entrepreneurial mindset from the start, and also ask the female entrepreneurs to put in their own money, even if it's just a limited amount, to set that right mindset that we're trying to create an entrepreneurial model. And especially if we work with mid-sized local companies, like Nera mentions, they don't have deep pockets to finance all this upfront. So I think overall you have to be cautious on what you give on consignment, and make sure that the entrepreneurial mindset is set from the start. And I think on larger product sales, for sure it's a different ballgame, financing, and I think it makes a lot of sense that Dharma is working with MFIs to take that on. If you can make that work well, and you really know what you're trying to achieve together, I think it's a fantastic example, but it's not always that easy to work with the MFIs, also in other geographies from our experience.
Thanks, Nia and Emil, for these further comments on the financing side. We also got a lot of questions on the warranty and after-sales services and which role last-mile distributors have to play there. Nia, can you explain a bit which kind of experiences you've made with quality versus non-quality products, and how you, as a last-mile distributor, are handling the after-sales services?
Yeah, sure. So I think one, quality is absolutely paramount for us, and it's a key determinant when we decide this product basket that we are curating, what product we do include or do not. So one, in the off-grid solar space, I think our partnership with Lighting Global has been really, really helpful, because again, we are niche and rather relatively, in grand scheme of things, small distribution company, and we don't have a full-fledged lab to do technical testing. We definitely do consumer testing anytime we include a new product, but that becomes the first go-to point to see if product or a company is a part of the lighting global manufacturing partnerships. And that said, even after that, a key point for us when we select our upstream partner is how strong is their maintenance supply chain. So if we do have issues with a product in the field, we can turn around and address it as quickly as we can. And I have to say, in last 5 years since we have been operating, there has been incredible improvement on that front from the terms that we are getting from our suppliers. Many of them are offering 1 to 2 year replacement warranties, and where products are beyond that warranty, we are training our team to service them, and they might not do so in the field, but equipping our HQ team in each country to address the service requests. And a key part, I think, in addressing the service concerns where they do emerge is also then using our system and our mobile toolkit to make sure that the process itself is efficient and turnaround time is as quick as it can be, and that we can then really keep a tab on which products are indeed having an issue in the market. And I would say the same with cook stoves also. In the cook stove sector, I would say they are not as mature as in the solar, I think, on qualities, and as a on the consumer-facing side, it's we have more relatively easier reference points to assess, but that's something we are also learning as that market segment in our business is growing more. But I would say it is definitely a key selection criteria, and training our staff is on training and servicing and customer care is a key part of the way we do business, because we do not want customers to be one-time customers. We do want them to come back to us for multiple energy needs. So that continues to be an area of focus we are dedicating time and resources on.
Thank you, Nia. Unfortunately, it seems the audio connection with Dharma is still weak. But not to lose out on the Indian perspective, we can now actually invite Frontier Markets to come in and share some of their lessons. We've got Ajayda Shah on the call. She's not only heading Frontier Markets, a last mile distribution company in India, Rajasthan, but she's also just about to get her foundation, the Frontier Innovations, off the ground, which will help to tackle some of the joint pain points that distributors have experienced all over the world. Ajayda, would you like to just comment on some of the questions we've had from the audience from the Frontier Market point of view, and then also use that opportunity to talk a bit more about your plans with Frontier Innovations going forward? And now that I've unmuted you, you can also do that. Sorry about that.
Yeah, okay, great, thank you. Thanks a lot, Joanna, and good evening, everyone. I just wanted to quickly summarize some of the main point questions, and then I'll give a quick take on it on a Frontier Markets perspective, because we have a very similar model to Project Dharma on the ground in terms of combination of agents as well as retail. And I also apologize because I'm sitting in a closed room, but there are 5 weddings happening at the same time around me. So in case you hear fireworks, that's where it's coming from. So we talked about, I think there's end user financing, supply chain financing, market building, really understanding margin competitiveness, and then looking at the model on its on a whole. And I think that for Frontier Markets, we've tried to shy away from end user financing as much as we can. And I think to the point that Emil made, I think what we've been also trying to do is link to existing banks microfinance institutions, or even federation self-help group programs that have been run by the government to help facilitate some of the end-user financing needs for some of our end customers versus trying to facilitate it ourselves. Another thing that we found interesting is that our existing retailers that we're working with, because they're so locally situated in these villages, they traditionally already pass some sort of credit terms or payment plans with their local village neighbors, and so they're best facilitated to do that. For us, the missing piece is actually on the supply chain financing piece, which is, you know, as a wholesale, as a distributor, very similar to what Neha was mentioning, you know, our retailers or our agents or even some of our microfinance partners ideally would like to have some sort of credit term. Now, that credit term typically comes from the distributor, and so what we've been trying to do is we've been balancing some credit terms from our product companies, the manufacturers that we're working with, and then being able to pass on some sort of minimalistic credit terms then on downstream on the supply chain. That's created a lot of financial risks because cash collection becomes very tough as you go deeper into rural villages. And so we try to, similar to what Neha said, we kind of have been working on selective profiling of which kind of retailers and which kind of distributors we want to actually provide credit to, and what collaterals can we create in-house to be able to do that. Margin competitiveness is an interesting one because I think, again, as Neha mentioned, you are looking at a margin structure where you're getting some flat margin from your manufacturer, but as a distribution company that's getting involved in marketing, stocking, branding, and distribution and sales, not to mention training and capacity building, you have already a very tight margin to keep your company on top, let alone pass a tier 2 to tier 3 structure for margins, because let's be honest, the entrepreneurs on the ground also need to be making money, and it needs to be competitive enough against what they're already used to selling in their rural villages, especially if we're talking about consumer durables that are hard to move. And so I think this has been a big challenge. One strategy that Frontier Markets has used is to define each margin point as an activity. So what is the margin cost over a product when it comes to marketing? What is the margin cost of paying up front? Margin cost for stocking, logistics cost for distribution, and then logistic cost for after-sales service. And we've been using each point of that margin to negotiate with our manufacturing partners to be able to facilitate some better terms to be able to justify why a Frontier Markets or a Project Dharma or an Honorgy or an S-Smart or a Solar Sister should be able to leverage different kind of margin structures to help better our ability to break even. And I think this is a really large topic in general that is there. And that's kind of how Frontier Markets has been leveraging that on the ground. Just quick thing on us is that we have 800 retail points in Rajasthan. We focus on after-sales service quite distinctly, and I also wanted to make that point. I think last-mile distribution companies are best situated for the after-sales service piece because no matter how good the product is, at the end of the day, the further down that you distribute the product, the harder it is to reach that end customer. So even if you have a great product, for whatever reason, if there's a challenge in servicing that product or it doesn't function, you will need that last mile distribution company to locally manage the logistics on the ground, to reach out to that customer, to switch out the product, to repair it, to build like an ecosystem. So I think that that's become a really interesting negotiation point for Frontier Markets with some of our manufacturing companies, saying that whatever your warranty or guarantee structure is, no matter how good your product is, there's another embedded cost that a distribution company takes on by being your representatives on the ground. And I think that that's something that we've been really, again, trying to link margin negotiation to make that work better. So that's kind of the summary, and I don't know if I should pause to close at the end, but one of the reasons why Frontier, I came on the webinar today was not really to represent Frontier Markets, but was to actually represent our foundation that Joanna just mentioned. So this is our second co-hosting event with Gogla, where our intention as a foundation is to actually align practitioners that are in last mile distribution to come together on a platform to be able to share some common pain points. And I think we've identified a lot lot of them today in terms of market building, looking at financing structures, trying to understand how to break even and scale, and also very interestingly what Dharma Life was talking about, which is, do distribution companies start branding their own products and work with manufacturers, or do we continue selling existing branded products? And what does a sector look like in terms of building a symbiotic relationship between manufacturers and distribution companies? The foundation is becoming a platform to kind of invite last mile distribution companies to have a better exchange and then work with existing donors and associations like Gogla to be able to then facilitate more regional and local solutions that we can all learn from each other to be more successful at scale. I think that's it at my end. Joe, if you want to take over.
Thanks. Thank you so much, Ida, for presenting Frontier Markets and also the Frontier Innovation Foundation. And as Ajida rightly said, we've been cooperating with the foundation side now the second time, as we as Gogla also try to understand where the problems of distributors are and how we as an association can help to solve some of the challenges. This webinar has had a huge turnout, and that shows us how important the topic is. So the takeaway for us definitely is to continue exploring that topic and continue help to facilitate the knowledge exchange. We've unfortunately not been able to answer all of the many questions that we got throughout this webinar, but what we will try to do is to answer them in the aftermath of the webinar and share some of the answers on our website as well, along with the recording of the webinar and the slides of the different presenters.
And also just one quick thing is that, so one thing that Joanna and I have been talking about is, thank you so much for signing up and also taking the time to, share your information, because now we kind of have an email list that if you agree to, we'll start sharing regular information. I very briefly spoke about what we did in Dubai, but during the Gogla conference, we were able to have a proper workshop with global last mile distribution companies to start an exchange. There was a lot of learnings that were coming from there, and it was very clear that last mile distribution companies, regardless of what country you're from, you're facing very similar challenges, but also learning about model building and having very similar successes. So we're trying to really streamline that exchange and then ideally bring that into like a larger platform. So if you'd like to know more information about that as well, please do reach out. And I'm sure, I think, Joanna, you've already shared information of each organization, Frontier Innovations, BOP Innovation Lab, and of course Gogla. And we would love to then share with you guys, what the next step will be post this webinar in moments time as well. So thank you.
We have now unfortunately reached the end of the webinar. I would like to once more thank all the speakers for presenting, sharing your experiences, thanking the very attentive audience for submitting a lot of really good questions. And as Ajida said, I'd like to invite you all to stay tuned. We will definitely do more webinars or other activities in this area, and hope to be connected to all of you soon again. Thanks for joining today. Bye-bye.